Have you ever been told that one single fire destroyed the greatest library the ancient world ever knew? A furious general. A tragic accident. Centuries of human knowledge gone in a single night. That's the story most of us grew up with. But what if that story isn't true? What if the real ending is stranger, slower, and far more human than any blaze could ever be? You've probably scrolled past a dozen documentaries about ancient Alexandria without ever finishing one. You've repeated the same one-fire story at dinner tables and trivia nights without ever questioning where it actually came from. You felt that pull toward mystery, that itch to know what really happened, only to close the tab and move on. By the end of this video, you'll understand what actually happened to the Library of Alexandria and why the truth says something important about how knowledge survives or disappears even today. Let's start with what the library actually was. In the 3rd century BCE, under the rule of the Ptolemies in Egypt, scholars built something the world had never seen. Not just shelves of scrolls, but a living institution called the Mouseion, a house of the muses filled with researchers, astronomers, and poets from across the known world. Historians recorded that it may have held hundreds of thousands of papyrus scrolls. Think about that for a moment. An entire civilization's memory, gathered under one roof, centuries before printing presses existed. Now here's where most people get it wrong. Julius Caesar did set fire to ships in the harbor of Alexandria in 48 BCE during a military conflict, and ancient writers described flames spreading toward the docks. Some scrolls were likely lost in warehouses near the water that night. But historians studying the record today have found something the popular myth conveniently ignores. The library kept functioning for centuries after that fire. Scholars kept visiting. Texts kept circulating. The heart of the institution did not stop beating in one single night. So what really happened? Now comes the uncomfortable part, but it's necessary. The library didn't die from one dramatic blow. It faded through a slow accumulation of smaller losses. Political funding dried up as Roman rule reshaped Egypt's priorities. Scholars emigrated when support disappeared. In 391 CE, a mob acting under an imperial decree destroyed the Serapeum, a daughter branch of the library, in religious violence that ancient historians documented directly. Piece by piece, the flame of knowledge didn't explode. It simply stopped being fed. Isn't that exactly what happens to us? Not one dramatic collapse, but small neglects, stacking quietly, until something valuable is simply gone. A skill you stop practicing, a relationship you stop tending, a curiosity you let go cold. The Library of Alexandria is a mirror for something painfully familiar. If this story is blowing your mind, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment with a word that captures what surprised you most, like slow burn. Because this is exactly the kind of history that changes how you see the world once you know the real story. And here's the key. Think of the library like a candle passed hand to hand across centuries. Each scholar, each scribe, each ruler either fed that flame or let their hand grow careless. Caesar's fire was real, but it was only one gust of wind against a flame that many hands, over many generations, simply failed to protect. That's not a myth of sudden tragedy. That's a warning about slow abandonment, and it's far more unsettling. Now let's make this practical. What does this mean for you, right now, in a world overflowing with information you can lose just as easily? Notice something important. You don't need a fire to lose what matters. You only need to stop paying attention. The evidence tells us civilizations rise on the habit of preserving knowledge, and they erode the moment that habit is abandoned. That truth didn't end in ancient Egypt. It's happening in your own life today, in every book unread and every lesson forgotten. And this leads us to an even deeper truth. Every fragment of papyrus that survived Alexandria's slow decline did so because someone, somewhere, chose to copy it, protect it, or carry it forward. Not because of luck, because of intention. History doesn't wait for the ready. It moves whether you're paying attention or not. So let's bring this back to where we started. You were told one fire destroyed the greatest library in the ancient world. Now you know the truth was quieter and far more human. A slow forgetting, spread across centuries, driven by neglect rather than flame. Let that sit with you for a moment. What are you letting fade in your own life through simple, quiet neglect? Because in the end, the greatest library in history wasn't destroyed by fire. It was lost the way most valuable things are lost, one small, unnoticed absence at a time.